Hi everybody, it's Tim again. Welcome back. I'm going to do another Caustic mini track. You'll notice today I'm in widescreen, in Sense-Around. If you get that reference, then you're awesome. And if you don't get that reference, you're probably still awesome, but you're going to need to find someone much older than you to explain it. Okay, man, it is really glaring here today. Sorry about the lighting. I got a sun coming straight over at me through my window, trying to block it a little bit. But I'm going to go through my Caustic mini track. This one's number 2. This is Groove 2, Groove Harder. Little Die Hard reference. Okay, so here we are inside Caustic. This is Groove 2, Groove Harder. When you first come into Caustic, it's going to look a little more like this, except all the slots there at the top are going to be empty. You're just going to have the mixer, master effects, and the sequencer. But the top things like the beatbox and the KSS synth and FM synth and vocoder and all that, those are going to be empty. And what you're going to do is you're going to tap on each one of those empty slots, and then you're going to pick a machine to go into that slot. I usually start with the beatbox, just because I like to start with the drums and get my rhythm down before I move on. Now, I'm using the Tama X kit. This is a little bit more of an actual acoustic sounding kit than I used in the last one. If you tap up there on the name, you can get a whole bunch of different preset kits that you can try and go through. There's a bunch of them. Depending on what you want, there may be a bunch there that you can use, or you may think, there's only 1 or 2 good ones there. But so far, I've found a bunch of good things. So now if I scroll down from the beatbox, you can see the MIDI editor, and it's got, listed what each instrument is on each line going across the screen there. So the top is my kick, and then the next 2 down are the Res 1 and Res 2. Those are slightly different snare hits. So it kind of sounds like a left and a right hand. And then I've got the 2 lines down below that are the open and closed hi-hats. So let me solo that for you, and you can hear that first pattern I've got going. Move my camera up here so I can actually get to my controls. Okay, so that's what I did, and I built a couple of other patterns here. I used this for the intro, just a simple bass. And just a nice build straight into the melody. I had a slightly different rhythm in here for something. Just a crash hit, I think is all I added there. And then number 4, a little bit of a different groove, just for a different section. And then I can kind of use that 1 and 3 patterns there for a verse, and then have a crash in the middle of it. And then number 4 might be a little more of like a chorus kind of sound. This one is a pretty short track overall. I didn't really flesh this one out a lot. I don't know if I grew bored with it or I just couldn't really figure out where to go with it, but this one's pretty short. Okay, so next down from the beatbox, I got the KSS synth, which I used for a bass line this time. Let me unmute that and solo this part. And, whoa, there's my MIDI for that one. I just had 2 bass lines for this one. The first one is just... I kind of like the resonance on the bass in that one. It kind of had a good feel to me. And then this one was just a little bit different pattern. Real simple patterns is what I've been staying with. I'm not trying to get, fancy and write Dream Theater's next magnum opus here, but, I'm just having some fun. Down from that, the FM synths, kind of a DX7-ish kind of feel to it, very FM synthesis sounds to it, if you're familiar with the difference between FM and analog synths. So this one, I just put in a little, just Just kind of has this has a kind of little bit of a rhythm to it. The sound itself, that wah 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 kind of wahing noise. And then what I did was I'll show you here in a second, the vocoder. Now this one actually took me a while to figure out how to use. There's a couple different things you can do with it. I only used the two parts here. Number one, I had it feeding from the beat box so that the sound I get has a rhythm to it. And then the other one, I used that bass line. See, really, if you look on the screen there, I'm just playing chords, but it's got a beat coming in being fed from the beat box, or the other pattern. Whoops. Number 2 there. Oh, I know what it is. I'm not on the right pattern. If you get down here to the MIDI editor, if I switch to the pattern, see, now that synth sound is getting the same rhythm as the bass, but it's playing those chords, which kind of fill out. Boy, these speakers are crackling. I hope that's not coming through in my audio on the recording. Now, the tricky thing with the vocoder I found out is when I was programming everything, it sounded really cool. I thought, oh, these are some neat noises. I'm definitely going to use that. But then when I got my patterns programmed and I went to play everything, I heard nothing. There was like absolutely no sound at all. I had to go find another tutorial online, and what they show you then is if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of your piano roll, see these lines say no modulator and then beatbox. If I go back to pattern 1, I got the KSS synth. You have to put a note down there in that very bottom keys for which modulator you want to use. Otherwise, you hear nothing. And that took me hours to figure out. So that was really confusing. But I finally got it. And let me go on down here. Mixer settings. Let me unmute everything. The effects. And then here's the song. Let me put it back into song mode. And you can see where I built the patterns here. If you tap on a box in there, it's going to ask you which pattern you want to use on that track. So there's at the top, you can see they're listed on the left there, the beatbox, the synth, the 2 synths, and the vocoder. So this is Groove 2, Groove Harder. It kind of feels like a little bit of a verse to me. Really, they both kind of could either one be a verse or a chorus, depending on what you were going for. That vocoder really adds a neat kind of feel to the groove. It kind of gives some rhythmic elements to the synth. And like I said, I kept this one pretty short, so this is it. And there we go. So that's Groove 2, Groove Harder. I'm going to put the Dropbox link down below here in the description. If you want to use that, a couple of parts in one of your songs, add to it, hack it up, completely change it, or if you're a Caustic user, I'm going to also include the Caustic project link. That way you don't have to worry about downloading all the individual tracks and loading them into your DAW or whatever. You just open up Caustic on your device and there you go. Everything's all set for you. I'd really appreciate it if you guys would like and subscribe, maybe leave some comments, tell me what you think, and I'll see you next time.